Hello you guys, it is week 11 of my photo challenge series. I've just set up here. We're gonna talk today about how to make your hobby into a career, but because it is March, it is a sunny day outside, I'm going to make myself an iced latte before we get into it. I just sat down to start to film this video, but it got very formal, so I felt like I needed to relax into it a little bit. So, have my drink, and gonna start shooting. Ice latte. This is so good. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kika and this is already week 11 of my 12-week photo challenge series, which means there are only 2 more weeks to go. It is crazy, time has gone by so quickly. For these last 2 videos, I wanted to take a moment and talk to all of you guys who I know have a dream of turning your creative passion into a career and really taking that next step. I did a survey some months back on Instagram asking how many of you are on Instagram just for fun and how many are using Instagram as a platform to potentially brand yourself and build your creative business, or maybe you have a dream of becoming an author or a designer or artist or yoga teacher, whatever it might be, but something that you're using Instagram more as a platform to grow your brand. And it was kind of 50-50, so I wanted to make a video and give you some tips with some strategies and advice that I wish I would have known 4 years ago when I set out on this pretty crazy and very unrealistic journey of, well, my dream back 4 years ago in 2017 was essentially to become an Instagrammer, which was back then, and I still feel a twinge of embarrassment or somehow shame when I say it out loud, because it kind of sounds a little stupid and ridiculous, and I feel like it's something that it's so easy to be judgmental about, because it feels like, well, first of all, a very privileged thing, very unrealistic goal, and also maybe a little bit of a vain goal. So I struggled a lot with that back then, but I'm so happy that I embarked on this journey, because obviously what I do today, I consider myself a photographer, a self-taught one, but still a photographer, because that is how I make my living, and also a video maker, since I have this YouTube channel and I have been chipping away on this for the last 2 years. And so I am completely a self-made entrepreneur, if you can call it that, because I make my income solely from all the content I put out in the world myself, and I choose what I do with the creative projects. I'm my creative director, my own boss, my own manager, my own model, my own photographer, do all the admin, so everything that goes into when you have your own personal business. I want to share some of this knowledge with you, and also hopefully empower you to get the self-confidence to go for it if you have a little dream, but maybe you're not really sure how to make it actionable and take it to that next step. I feel like this video is going to be one where I talk a lot, so I have to remember to breathe every once in a while. My first advice is to dare to say your dream out loud. It is so much about your mindset and how willing you are to take a risk, especially when you're gonna do something that is as scary as venturing on this path of trying to make your creative passion into a job. It is pretty lonely, and there is no obvious path in how you're gonna achieve that end goal. So I think it is very, very important, and it will help you so much along the way to dare to speak out your dreams and get really comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling of telling and sharing to others and to the world what it is that you're trying to achieve. In the beginning, I felt quite ashamed and, I don't know, embarrassed almost that I had this dream, because it felt like it was so unrealistic and it was so far away. So I was really afraid to say it out loud. But when I then started to really articulate it and be clear with what it was I was going after, then suddenly I noticed myself taking the steps towards it, and I became much more intentional with the things I did. So right now I dare you to go and write your dream out loud here in the comments and share what it is that you'd like to do. What is it that you'd like to build? What is your vision? Even if you're not completely sure if this is exactly the thing, but just saying it out loud, writing it here in a comment, and I will go and try to read through them all and support you, and maybe you'll find people that have a similar dream to yours and you could connect with that person. I just think it is so powerful, because when we say something out loud, we're also sort of making ourselves a little bit accountable. And if you feel like, oh, that person that I want to become in the future feels like so far away and I just feel scared and not really sure, the first step is to take that little step in becoming that person and becoming more confident. So write your dream down, say it out loud, share it with people, even when you feel afraid that they might judge you. You just have to cancel out that noise, because you're gonna need a lot of self-confidence if you're gonna do this thing. And I'm here cheering you on. We're all cheering you on. So, all right, enough of the pep talk, but yeah, do go and put your dream down below here in the comments. My next tip is to do a brain dump of all your ideas and possibilities. So take some Post-it notes or open up an Excel sheet or a number sheet and write down all your ideas, all ideas that you have for your dream or for your business or your venture. Put them down on paper. Trust me, this will help with so much when you're feeling you're overwhelmed or you don't know where to start, or you have all these different ideas in your head but you're not really sure how to execute on them, or they feel, again, very far away. So breaking it down into smaller steps. I do love a little post-it party and also just making a list and getting all those ideas out from your head. And that doesn't mean that you're gonna necessarily execute on all of them, but just getting that space in your head so you're not walking around with thinking about them and carrying them around all the time will make it so much easier. And it's also then fun to go back maybe some years from now and see what happened, what did you dream about then. So just get them out of your system, put them in an Excel sheet or some post-it notes, and it's amazing also how much more clarity you will gain from this. Be a creative braveheart and share your work. This is a little bit similar to the first tip. I think when you want to transition from hobby to career, the one thing that sets an amateur apart from a pro is that they share their work and you ship the work. So you don't let things like when you're not feeling motivated get in the way, or that you don't have any ideas or you're not inspired. That's not really something that as a professional, or when you want to make something as a career, those aren't really in a professional's vocabulary, not feeling inspired or not sharing the work. So do make it a high priority to share your work, no matter what stage you're at. It's probably not going to be perfect. I don't feel like my work is perfect by any means yet. I'm still working on it, but that's also part of the joy and the journey, to keep exploring. But sharing your work and getting feedback is super important. And also I find every time I then share work, so if it's a photo or a video or a text or whatever it is, I will always get one step further because I got that idea out of my system, and you will always learn something. And it's one of those things that can feel pretty scary and vulnerable, because often we have a tendency to want to make it perfect, and we really want to make sure that we won't be judged or that anybody can say anything bad about it. But that unfortunately is the name of the game. You sort of have to learn to share the work even when it feels a little scary, and maybe that you still wanted to make it even a little bit better. Done is better than perfect. That is something that I often, time and time, will play again in my head when I'm really struggling to share something, or I just keep editing a photo endlessly. Sometimes you just need to let go, share the work, think that it's a generous act that you are sharing this creative work, and it will allow you to continue on to the next work instead. It's no longer all about you connecting with your audience. This is maybe a tip that comes when you've already been doing whatever it is that you're doing for a while. So realizing that it's not only about you anymore and what you want to do and what you're super excited about, because the truth is, if you want to survive as an artist or as a creative online or as a business, you do need to keep sort of the pulse on what your audience is connecting with and what they are enjoying from the work that you're putting out there. So I think it's always that balance of finding projects that you're really excited about and that you feel like you have something to say about and share, but also keeping in tune that there is actually a demand or interest from your audience. So I think this is something that comes with time and with experimenting, but just doing projects just solely for yourself, then you are an amateur, because then you're not really doing it with an audience in mind, and then of course you're free to do whatever, and it's really only for you. But when you are a professional and you want to maybe work with clients or find an audience, having that person on the other side, on the receiving end, in mind, it is quite important, and it's a good idea to spend some time with this and trying to gain some clarity in who this audience is or the potential ideal customer is. And I've been listening to lots of like business podcasts and different classes, and they always talk about your ideal customer, which to me always feels pretty abstract. And I had a long time, I struggled to really see this clearly, and I didn't know who I was really doing it for. But when you then share your work more and you'll get to know your audience, and social media is great for this because it's such a two-way street, and there's always places where you can comment or send messages. So use those tools as well to gain more information about who it is, these people that are showing up, what are they getting from your work, so that you can then serve them even better. Again, keeping in mind, of course, that also that it should excite you. So I don't think it works to just try to go after the popular topics or just try to serve with completely forgetting about your own interest, because then you probably won't produce work that is authentic or that interesting or specific. But yeah, it is about finding that balance, and it takes some time. So keep patient, keep putting out your work there, and you will gain more clarity over time. My last piece of advice is to form habits to do the work even when you don't feel inspired. It all really comes down to the habits that you do on a day-to-day basis. If you want to be a writer, are you writing daily? If you want to be a photographer, are you taking photos? If you want to be a video maker, are you actually making those videos? So it's not enough to have that dream, but actually seeing the habits and what you're doing in a day-to-day life. And the easiest to get to that point is to just start. Now, I know that procrastination is a real tricky pickle, and it can be easy to get lulled into all these excuses why you shouldn't do it and all the fears why it might not work, and you can quickly talk yourself out of it. But I think the best way to set yourself up for success and how you'll feel that you're going in the right path and you're doing small things every day to get closer to that dream and achieve that goal that you have in mind is to take small actionable steps daily. And it's not about doing some crazy big project at one point and you're going to really crunch it. I think much more realistic, and when you are a creative or do creative work as a job, it is really about those day-to-day habits that you do and how you can be self-disciplined and also be accountable for yourself, because you have to be your own boss. So forming habits like that, for example, for me, making lists helps so much. And now I'm also more realistic than in the beginning about how much work I can do in a day. So in the beginning, sometimes I would have these crazy expectations on myself to do 2 photos and film a video and do this and that in one day, and it got very overwhelming. And then in the end I ended up doing almost nothing, or if I did something I just felt like I had failed. So setting realistic expectations is also part of it, and all of this will get easier also working from home when you don't have colleagues or anybody to give you energy those days where you feel a little bit blah. All those things will get easier. I think it's different for everybody, but that's why I think it's important to set aside some time to really get organized and set some systems and some habits up that make it easier for you, so that you can do the creative work that we want to see and that is in you, that wants to come out and be shared with the world. Those were my 5 tips. So a quick little recap. So tip number 1 was to dare to say your dream out loud. So write your dream in the comments below. The second one was to do a brain dump of all your ideas and possibilities. So get out those post-it notes. The third one was to be a creative braveheart and share your work. The fourth one, it's no longer all about you, connecting with your audience. And then lastly, form habits to do the work even when you don't feel inspired. The journey to take your creative passion and make it into a career can be a rocky one, and there is no one size fits all. It will probably be very individual. If you have any questions or you'd like some advice, the more specific you can be, it's easier to help you. And I'm still on this journey, but I have gone through many moments of self-doubt, of struggling, of not really being sure what I should do next. All I can say is that persistence pays off. It's not fun all the time. It's not easy, definitely not, but the satisfaction of building something that you have made from scratch is so satisfying and gives me at least so much joy, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. I can say that now, and it feels so worth it. And I get so excited about when I think of new projects and when I get to share all this stuff with you, and that I also feel kind of in control of what I do, and also thinking about the impact that maybe some of my work might have, even though I still feel sometimes like an imposter for thinking of who am I to do this, but we all go through that. So that's just something that unfortunately I don't think will ever go away. So I think it's really more about learning to live with the uncertainties and learn to celebrate when something is going your way, and also take really joy from the small wins. It is sometimes a lonely path, but that's why we have platforms like this where we can connect. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this video. I spoke a lot. Let me know in the comments below what your dream is, and if you have any more questions or you'd like to get some tips or maybe some thoughts that came from this, or if you have any of your own tips that you'd like to share, then let me know, or let us know in the comments below, I should say. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed these tips. On Thursday there is going to be a new photo challenge, so do make sure you come and check this space out on Thursday. Alright, take care and come and say hi. I'm over at Kika on Instagram. Alright, see you guys soon. Bye!
There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello. A bee in my bonnet, hello. There's a bee in my bonnet, hello, hello. A bee in my bonnet, hello.